I didn't realize he was already dead until I heard myself telling him to breathe. We used to take the stairs because the elevator felt too slow. That's what I told people anyway. It was a small office habit, one of those things that forms without discussion. You sit too long, your back tightens, your eyes burn from the screen, and eventually someone says, "Walk," and you go. It was always the same loop around the building, a half circle of cracked pavement, a narrow strip of grass, the hum of distant traffic. And in the back, those stairs, 2 clean runs of concrete, 15 steps down, a landing, then 15 more. He liked the stairs more than I did, said it made the walk count. I didn't disagree. I rarely disagreed with him. That day was clear, too clear, maybe, the kind of blue sky that looks artificial, like it's been cleaned. We were halfway through the loop, talking about nothing important. Something about a client, I think, or maybe lunch. I remember the rhythm of it more than the words. His voice steady, casual, mine a little quieter. We reached the top of the stairs. He stepped first. I paused, just for a second, not long enough to notice unless you were looking for it. He said something, I don't remember what, and then he said, "Oh God," not loud, not dramatic, just surprised, and then he was gone. People imagine falls as chaotic, loud things. This wasn't. It was fast, a shift, a misstep, a sudden absence of balance, and then a body moving in a way it shouldn't, limbs folding wrong, shoes scraping concrete, a dull sequence of impacts, 15 steps, then the landing, then 15 more. He didn't try to catch himself. That's what I remember most. I didn't move right away, not because I was frozen. I just watched. There's a difference. It looked unreal, like something rehearsed, his body hitting each step with a kind of rhythm, almost controlled, as if gravity had decided on a pattern and was following it precisely. Then it stopped. He landed face down, still. I walked down the stairs, not ran, walked. I think I was still holding the conversation in my head, like if I reached him fast enough, we'd just continue it. But he didn't move. There was blood already, not a lot at first, just enough to look wrong against the concrete. I said his name, once, then again. No response. When I tried to turn him over, his body resisted, not actively, just stiff, like he'd already decided on a position. I remember thinking that was strange. I remember noticing it before I felt anything else. The call to emergency services was automatic. My voice sounded normal, too normal, maybe. I gave them the address, told them he'd fallen, that he wasn't responding. They told me to roll him over. I said I had. They told me to begin CPR. I said I would. His face was worse up close, not unrecognizable, just rearranged. There's a moment when you realize a face isn't going to look like a face again. It's subtle, a shift in proportions, a stillness in the wrong places. I placed my hands on his chest, counted, pressed, counted again. I told him to breathe. That's the part that stayed with me. Not the blood, not the fall, just my voice, calm, steady, telling him to do something he had already stopped being able to do. The ambulance arrived quickly. 7 minutes, they said later. It felt shorter, or longer, I'm not sure. Time didn't stretch or compress, it just stopped being relevant. They took over immediately, efficient, focused. One of them asked me what happened. I explained. Simple, clear, accurate. I knew he was dead. I didn't need them to tell me. There are small signs, the stiffness, the silence, the way the body settles. It's not something you learn, it's something you notice. After they took him away, the stairs were empty again, exactly the same as before. That was the strangest part. No mark of what had happened, except a faint smear that looked like it could belong to anything. I stood there for a while. Then I went back inside. People asked questions, of course they did. I answered them, consistently. We were walking, he tripped, he fell. I called for help, I did CPR. That was the story. It was true. The next day, I went back to work. I didn't take the stairs, not because I was afraid. It just didn't seem necessary. But I kept thinking about that moment at the top, the pause. It was small, almost nothing, but it kept repeating in my head. Not the fall, not the impact, just that brief hesitation before he stepped down. We had walked that path dozens of times, maybe more. Always the same pattern. He goes first, I follow. Except sometimes I didn't. Sometimes I stopped, just slightly, just enough. There's a rhythm people fall into when they walk together, unspoken, predictable. You match pace. You trust the other person to move the way they always move, to step when they always step, to be where they always are. And when that rhythm breaks, even a little, something shifts. Weight, balance, expectation. I didn't push him. That would be obvious. There would be marks, witnesses, a different kind of fall. This wasn't that. All I did was change the timing. A step delayed, a presence removed, a fraction of a second where he expected me to be behind him, and I wasn't. People don't think about how much they rely on that, the quiet assumption that someone is there, close enough to steady you, close enough to matter. When he stepped down, he adjusted his weight the way he always did, for a moment that didn't exist anymore. And that was enough. I didn't know it would be, not exactly, but I had noticed things before, small stumbles, tiny corrections, moments where he leaned back slightly, as if checking something without looking. He trusted the pattern, so I changed it. Afterward, when I replayed it, I kept expecting to feel something stronger, guilt, shock, regret. But what I felt was clarity. Everything had happened exactly as it could. No excess, no deviation, just cause and effect stripped down to the smallest possible movement. At work, people talked about him for a while, then less, then not at all. That's how it goes. The stairs are still there, unchanged. I walk past them sometimes, not often. Last week, someone new joined the team. We went for a walk. Same loop, same path. When we reached the stairs, he hesitated, just for a second. Then he laughed and said, "You go first." I stepped down, carefully, exactly as expected. Halfway down, I paused, just briefly. He didn't fall, but I noticed the way he adjusted his balance, the way his body reacted to something that almost happened. We finished the walk, went back inside. Nothing unusual. I think about that moment sometimes, not because of what happened, but because of what didn't happen. There's a space between actions, a thin margin where things can change without being seen. Most people never notice it. They move through it automatically, trusting patterns they've never questioned. He didn't notice it, not until it was gone. And by then, it was already too late. I still take the stairs occasionally, not for exercise, just to keep the timing right, because the difference between a normal day and what happened that day was less than a second.